Suze Orman is dead wrong about real estate. Hey, I'm Scott Neal from Scott Neal Real Estate, and I want to give a shout out to a colleague of mine, Nick Good, for sharing this post. I don't think I would have seen it otherwise, but Suze Orman, who is a television financial guru a la kind of like Dave Ramsey. She's written several books, gives a lot of financial advice. You've probably seen her on television. So here's what she had to say in her social media post. I would absolutely wait until September, October, November of this year before I even consider buying a home. One concern is property values. Many people will have to make up their missed mortgage payments around the time federal unemployment is scheduled to stop on July 31st. This puts them in a difficult financial position, especially if they're still out of work. It's not impossible that your neighbors might have to foreclose on their home. She goes on to say, here's the problem. Let's say you paid $300,000 for a home today and your next door neighbor is out of work due to the coronavirus and can't afford to make mortgage payments, so they foreclose on their home. That house goes for $150,000. Do you know what that just did to your property value you just bought? Your property is now worth $150,000. Because when somebody goes to check the latest comp, they're going to see, oh, well, the house next door sold for $150,000. The house down the block, just like yours, sold for $150,000. There goes the price of real estate, and that's exactly what happened in 2007, 2008. So a couple of things that I notice about this post right away. She might be right that there are people in forbearance or people that have lost jobs that the bill's going to end up coming due sometime, but just because a home gets foreclosed doesn't mean necessarily that real estate prices are going to fall. First of all, it's important to understand what makes real estate prices fall. The number one leading economic indicator that accounts for price in the residential sector is simply supply and demand. If there is less supply than there is demand, prices are naturally going to rise. If there is more supply than there is demand, prices are naturally going to fall. And just because homes foreclose doesn't necessarily mean that those properties are going to be on the open market. In fact, if you look back at the Great Recession of 2008, 9, 10, and 11, there were lots of foreclosures that never even hit the public market. A lot of banks would bundle all of these homes together and sell them off privately to hedge funds. I remember back then we were worried about shadow inventory. This was a boogeyman term that was going around the news and real estate, that shadow inventory was going to hit the market and it was going to flood the market and crash real estate prices. Well, that never really happened because of what I just said. Those banks were selling off hundreds of properties all at once to big institutional investors. Those properties never hit the market and they never really affected the market like they would have had those banks just gone ahead and put all of those homes on the market at once. Now, something else that struck me in this post is it was kind of fear-mongering. So she says, quote, let's assume that you paid $300,000 for a home, your neighbor's house gets foreclosed and it sells for $150,000, half price. Well, that's probably not going to happen. Now let's look at what happened in DFW. Back in 2012, the median home price in DFW was about $165,000. Now here we are, mid-2020, the median price is somewhere around $270,000. Every single year from 2012 to 2020, we were seeing home prices increase by about 10 to 11% per year. Now, if you break that down on a monthly basis, that's only about 1% per month increase in prices. So, do you really think that home values are going to crash by 50% in the next 3 to 6 months? I don't think so. Even if real estate went down as fast as it went up, that means that you're only going to lose 1 to maybe 2% on the high end per month. So real estate prices went up 10% a year, maybe they go down 10% a year, but I still don't even think that that's going to happen. Let's see what Core Logic has to say. In the latter half of the first quarter of 2020, the coronavirus began to spread across the country with immediate economic impact not fully realized until the end of March. As the pandemic continued to unfold and shelter-in-place orders were extended, unemployment reached double digits within a few short weeks and left many homeowners scrambling to cover the mortgage payments. However, home prices continued to rise, which added to borrower equity through March. Frank Northeft, the chief economist for CoreLogic, says, the pandemic recession will likely lead to price declines in many areas during the next year and weaken home equity gains. However, price declines will be far less than those experienced during the Great Recession, when the national CoreLogic Home Price Index fell 33% peak to trough. Our latest forecast shows the national index to have a peak to trough decline of 1.5%. So bottom line is, don't expect a real estate crash. Something huge would have to happen in order for us to go through a big real estate crash like we did back in 2008. And what's happening right now, even with the pandemic, is what has been happening that I've been predicting for the last couple of years, which is the real estate market will just end up kind of petering out. Median price in DFW has only been on the rise for about 2 to 3% over the last couple of years, so it seems like we're at the end of the boom anyway. Nevertheless, homes are still selling, we still have a shortage of supply, and interest rates are at all-time lows. So if you're thinking about buying a home or if you're thinking about selling your home anywhere in DFW, give us a call at 469-998-3322 or visit us on our website at mydallashomefinder.com, and we would love to talk to you about how this market is affecting your plans. Thanks and happy selling.